Hey guys, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, November 21st. It is 2:04 p.m. right now. Our scheduled group mentoring session for today is scheduled for 2 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we'll get started shortly with the session for today. We kind of have an idea of like what we're going to cover today. It's basically like the momentum scalp strategy, the high-low momentum pivot scalp, and the 4-hour SR zone strategy. So we have an agenda today. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, just give me a few moments to finish setting this up, and then we'll get started with the session for today. All right. Looks good. So we got this all set up right here. Let me get this link sent out to you guys in the premium, and we should be good to go. All right, here we go. All right, so I'll give a few moments for people to make their way in. And I will make a list of things we plan on covering today. So let's get everything set up right here. So a couple topics today is going to be the scalp strategy to high-low momentum scalp strategy, and 3 ESR. All right, so we got pretty much everything set up right here. I'll get a few moments for people to continue to make their way in. I know we're starting a little late today. I think some people are just joining in, so I'll give it a few moments for people to join in. Once we have that, we will get started shortly. GA positions are looking good so far. All right, so if there's any specific questions you guys have, feel free to put them in the chat. For today, this is going to be pretty much our schedule for today. We're going to be covering the momentum scalp strategy, the high-low momentum pivot scalp strategy, and the SR zone strategy. So I'll be going over all these strategies here. And then we'll pretty much wrap it up. I think these are going to be the main strategies we'll be applying. This pretty much gives a wide spectrum of opportunities for you guys, whether you want to be a scalper and scalp with us in the morning, or if you want to intraday trade. We took about one of each today. So, we can probably go over the entries that we went over for today. Otherwise, if you guys have any specific questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and then we can add them for today's list. Hey, Maria, good afternoon. So today is Monday, November 21st. It is 2:08 p.m. right now. Our scheduled mentoring session was scheduled for 2 p.m. So we're about 8 minutes in. These are basically the topics I'm going to cover for today. I'm going to go over them in order, and we'll get to it. So it looks like majority of you guys are here already. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to put the requirements up here again. Or not requirements, I'll put the things that we plan on covering. So the first thing is going to be the momentum scalp strategy. And I'll put the requirements right here. It's a pretty basic strategy. It's not that difficult. And And I think we're ready to go. All right, cool. So if people join in late, that's perfectly fine. We'll just, they'll hop in when they can. But we'll start off with the momentum scalp strategy. So just give me a few moments to review this real quick. And we should be good to go. So with this strategy right here, this is basically one of the very first strategies that, I pretty much ever applied with regard to scalping. I just never showed it to you guys because I kind of forgot about it. I tried to apply this strategy for Forex like a long time ago, but the main problem with this was that the Forex spread is too wide. So like, for example, if you wanted to scalp the strategy on GA, you can see that the spread's like 30 pips, right? It's almost impossible to apply. I mean, this is a normal spread, but typically spread for GA is going to be about like 10, 12 pips. So it's not ideal to apply it on something like this. Not that it doesn't work, but it's difficult to apply it on something that doesn't necessarily provide you as many opportunities due to the spread. So looking at the strategy over here, this one works perfect for US 30 because we're pretty much applying the same scalping strategy, same scalping parameters. It's just we're riding momentum. So with this strategy here, first you want to confirm that you're trading in the direction of the overall trend. So let me just go back a little bit. I'm going to show you an example over here, if I could find one. Okay, so I'm just going to use this one right here as an example. It's not a great example, but it shows you a bit of a clear breakdown as to where price is and was going. So let me just see if I can replay this a little bit over here too. And I'll replay this. I mean, this is fine on this one. So, all right, looking over here at the requirement. So for the first requirement, you want to confirm that you're trading in the direction of overall trend. There's two ways to identify the trend. One way to do that is to look at the trend meter down here. That's going to be one of the ways, but the trend meter down here is not going to be as accurate. This is going to be good at identifying longer term trends, but on the short term, this is going to be good to use as a confluence. So looking at this here, price is below the pivots. On the 10-minute, it was kind of ranging for a bit. This is towards the end of the session. This is why I'm kind of saying that it's not a good example, but it basically shows you what you need to look for here. So for this strategy specifically, I personally would only apply it during the live session. So like basically 6:30 to 8. The reason for that is because volatility is high and you're going to be able to get in and out of these trades rather quickly. If you trade this in the Asia session, not to say that it's not going to work, but you're going to get some bad entries because the volatility is too low and you're not going to find a strong trend or strong momentum. Even during London, you might find some good entries, but you're going to get a lot of whipsaws and fake outs because the market's technically not open. So typically I would only apply this in the morning during the live sessions. If you want to apply it after, it's perfectly fine. If you guys saw my profits from today, I actually took one after the live session. Right over here, I took this at 9 o'clock. So a little bit later, I took it and I still made profit. I made 1,210. So this is the first one that I took. This is at the end of the live session. I mentioned that I was going to take this trade. I let a pending sell order. I didn't take it off and it just filled it and went straight to TP. This was at 8:03 a.m. So this is closer to 8 o'clock. This is okay. This is a little later. So this was closer to like 9 a.m. I took another trade here and you can see I hit another full TP for 1,000. Another sell order. And this right here, the same exact strategy. So, maybe I'll go back and show you that one because that one would probably be a better example for, a clean entry versus a lot of these other ones here that are a little iffy. So which one are we looking at? 8. Okay, so I'm just going to go and rewind to this one over here because this is going to be a cleaner example in comparison to the one that I was going to show you, because the problem with that last one was that it wasn't in a strong downtrend. Or it doesn't have to be a strong downtrend, but it needs to be in a downtrend, right? So I think this one here is going to be a better example for you guys. You can see the 10-minute over here. All right, perfect. So let me just rewind this or back it up a little bit so you guys can see it better. Okay, so here are the requirements. For the first requirement, you want to confirm you're trading in the overall trend. So looking from the, you're going to go from the 10-minute down to the 5-minute to the 1 minute. So for the 10-minute over here, you want to see that price is in a downtrend. You can see that price is below the pivots are angling down. This is indicating it's a strong downtrend. Looking over here at the trend meter, it's also red. So this confirms that this is in a downtrend, right? It's not too difficult to look at. You're just looking at it from a bird's eye view. You don't have to really focus on it too much. You just got to make sure that it's in a downtrend. So once you have this, you have the 10-minute, right? You go over to the 5-minute, same thing. Price is below the pivots are angling down, trend meter is red. This is going to also confirm that it's in a downtrend on the 5-minute. So 10-minute, 5-minute, okay, great, downtrend. Looking over here on the 1 minute, same exact thing, right? Price is below the pivots are angling down, trend meter is red. This is going to confirm that the overall trend is bearish. It's going down, right? Once you have that confirmed, this is where the easy part comes in. You're going to confirm momentum on the 10-minute. You look back, where's the sell signal, right? It's right here. There's no buy signal. So this is going to confirm that momentum is going down. Looking at the 5-minute, same thing. You see that the most recent momentum signal is a sell signal, right? So it's a no-brainer. There's no guesswork here. You look for a sell signal, look for a sell signal. Once you have these lined up, now you're looking for an actual sell entry. So requirement number 4, confirm momentum on the 1 minute. You have it right here. Once you have all those steps met right there, you can enter on the close of the 1 minute momentum candle. So with that said, you have this set up right there. You enter a short position right here. You set this to our typical 130 split. Once you have that set up right there, you let the trade run. And I'll just maximize this because all the requirements are met. You let the trade run and full TP right there. So this trade right here came up at 855. That was basically the entry that I took. I can't remember which one was one of these here. Either this one right here, or it was probably this one right here, actually. The last one. There's my full TP right there for 1,000. So that's an example of this strategy right here. Super simple. This is an example for a sell. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll go back over here and I will show you an example for a buy. Same thing. The only difference is that instead of looking for a sell, you're now looking for a buy, right? So let me go see if we could find one over here. All right, so this is one right here. I'm gonna go and replay this. This was pre-market. So, as I mentioned, I typically don't trade very much pre-market. I did today though. So you can see right here from my trades. I actually took this pre-market right here at 601. So this is the trade that I actually took right there. And I got my full TP on that right there. So let me go over here real quick and I'll show you where I took that entry. I'm just going to replay this to this here. You can see the crosshairs line up over here. So this is the same candle right there. And same one on the 10-minute over here as well. This is going to be a lot easier to see real time because you don't have to go and replay anything. It's yeah, Maddie said that trade took forever. Yeah, I know. We took this trade. Maddie actually sent it to me. And I was like, that trade looks kind of iffy because price was kind of ranging here on the 1 minute, but I took it anyways because I don't know, I was just feeling it. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to hit. So I took it. Me and Maddie were watching this trade for like 30 minutes, like just waiting for it to hit. It finally did, thankfully, but it did take forever. So again, right here, we're going to look at the requirements. So first requirement, you want to confirm you're trading in the direction of the overall trend. Looking over here on the 10-minute, we have an uptrend because price is above the pivots. Pivots are angling up, trend meter is green. That's set right there. 5-minute, same thing. Price is above the pivots. Pivots are angling up. Trend meter is green. That lines up perfectly. Lastly, here on the 1 minute, price is above the pivots. Pivots are angling up and the trend meter is green. So with that said, we have overall trend, which is bullish. Second requirement, you want to confirm momentum on the 10-minute time frame. Right here, we have a bullish buy signal. With that said, that's requirement number 2. Number 3, same thing on the 5-minute. You have a bullish buy signal right here. That's met. Fourth requirement, you want to confirm a momentum on the 1 minute time frame. Right here, we have a buy signal. It lines up with all of the confluences here. Overall bullish trend, bullish momentum on all time frames. You have that set. You set the trade up right here. Buy entry. Again, same thing. Split it by 100, 300. You have that set up right there. Once you have that set up, I'm going to maximize this right here so that you can see it better. There goes the entry. Everything lines up. You let the trade run. Pushes up a little bit. Full TP. So as you guys can see, it's super easy. The whole logic behind this strategy is that you're identifying momentum. It's like a pure momentum strategy. So looking over here on the 10-minute, you can see that momentum is going up, right? So if momentum is going up on the 10-minute, momentum is also going up on the 5-minute, what's going to happen on the 1-minute? It's going to follow, right? It's going to go the same direction. So with that said, we have all of them met right here. Bullish, 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 bullish momentum, bullish momentum, bullish momentum. What are the odds of it pushing up higher? Very likely, right? So this is a high probability strategy where you're kind of just riding the wave. You see the wave here push up, you're just going to hop on that wave, ride your TP, and then pull out. So Maria said, all requirements not come so often, just in the trending market, but today was ranging. Yeah, I mean, today's Monday, right? It's Monday and it is a holiday week. So this week's an outlier. I mean, you're not always going to find trending markets, right? The market wouldn't be that easy. If it was that easy, you'd be a millionaire by now, right? Just like everyone else. The thing with this is it's just with any other strategy. It doesn't matter if it doesn't come up very often. It matters that you are able to execute when it happens, right? Because I think that's a problem with a lot of people. Like all my strategies here are very simple, but the thing is when the requirements are met, what happens? You get scared, right? You don't take the entry. And it's not just you, Maria, it's everybody else. So it's a common issue that comes along with really understanding and trusting the strategy. So I think this strategy actually comes up very often. If you tested it, Maria, I think you'll find a lot more entries. I can even go back and show you like different entries that came up today, but you are correct. Today was a ranging market, but I think overall it does happen pretty often. So let me see. Brecky's asking, can you show again the candle you entered on? Yeah, sure. So this one over here on the 1-minute, the candle I entered on was when this candle closed. So basically what you're doing here is when you're looking for the entry, you're basically checking off all the requirements over here on the higher time frames already. So like what you're doing, and this is basically what I was doing on the live session today, right? I was looking for all the requirements already. All I was waiting for was for the only thing that I was waiting for was the last requirement to be met so that I can enter the entry. So basically for the requirements over here, you're already confirming the overall trend. You have like all the time in the day to confirm that, right? Because you're basically just waiting for everything to line up with the 1-minute. So you want these to be bullish already. You want the 10-minute to be with the bullish momentum. You'll have that already set up. For number 3, you'll have this set up already too. The 5-minute. The only thing you're really looking for is this 4th requirement. So you have all these lined up already. You're just looking for this candle right here to close. And this is where you make the entry. So your entry would happen right over here. This is where you would take your trade. So like basically right here, you're waiting for this to come up. And then as soon as this candle here closes, that's where you're taking your entry for a quick little push. Right? So this is when and where you would take it. Other than that, so Becky, does that make sense? Do you get that? Because if not, I can show you another example. I just want to make sure you get it before I move on. I'll go over that entry at 8:03, Maria. Yeah. So you don't care what candle closes on. You're basically focusing on the momentum, right? Because this is going to be your catalyst. So yes, the 3rd candle, but realistically, you're looking for the momentum signal. That's like pretty much all you're looking for. There's actually another one right here. So I mean, depending on where you took it, you could have taken this one and it would still be running. Eventually you'd have another entry right there. But there's two different opportunities there. There's one right here, and then there's one right here. So this one and this one right there. So yeah, you're right, Becky. Is there anything else you want to cover with this, or are you good? Once we're done with this, I'm going to go over Maria's. Okay, perfect, Becky. Okay, Maria, so let's go over to that entry you're just referring to at 8 o'clock. So you said you took it at 8:03, price went up and she closed with a loss. So that's the problem too with this, not just you, Maria, but with like a lot of other people, because someone actually, that happened to somebody else as well. So that same entry that you were looking at over here, the 803 entry, right? Here, let me go over here real quick. So this is a common issue with a lot of people. It's not just, because this actually happened with someone else too, with Alexander. He mentioned, he actually messaged me right after. He said that he closed early with a loss because he just didn't want to risk it. And then as soon as he closed, it went straight to profit target. So with that trade right there, that's one that I was waiting for. I didn't even realize that I still had it running because I was going to cancel it, but I just let it run. So when it dropped down, it went straight to my TP and then it just broke through. So looking at that trade was right here at about 803, I believe. It was this one right here, right? Yeah, so let me just scroll up real quick. So the thing when you take these entries, Maria, and you discussed it with me too, that you kind of close out of your trades a little early. The problem with this here, I mean, with taking these entries is you have to trust the entry, right? You have to be okay with losing the trade. The problem is like you were too worried about it and you were just like, you closed out early for a loss. But you just have to accept that losses happen, right? That's the main thing. So for me here, I actually didn't enter this trade until after because I had this sell stop here, right? This was towards the end of the session. Price was in some drawdown. I was like, okay, if price goes up, I'm going to cancel it. Price never went up and hit stop loss. So like what happened here was I had a pending sell right here on the bottom. And when price finally came down, this is where it filled me, like 8:10. This is like literally when I got off the live session. It filled me right there and went straight to profit target. So I know you discussed this with me already, Maria. What you have to do is you just have to understand that losses happen, right? So you can't get scared of the trade. If you're in the trade already, just let it run. You were so close to like to getting kicked out of the trade. You might as well just took that extra risk right there, right? You were like 30 pips away from stop loss. But the thing with this trade here is that you have control of momentum. The reason why I was okay with this entry here was because the momentum here was so strong, right? Price was in a strong downtrend. The 10-minute here wasn't as strong, but it was still in a downtrend. And what happened was, I just never took the trade off because what happened was I was going to cancel it if it came up here. Price never came up right here. So I just kind of waited. And then when I got off the live, it literally came down and went straight to my TP. Same thing happened with Alexander too. So you're not the only one that it happened to. But you have to trust the strategy, right? That's the problem with a lot of people is that they don't trust the strategy. Alexander, I could understand his position because he actually took a break from trading and he just has a newborn. So he's like busy with his baby sometimes and he's not able to look at the chart. So I can understand his side of like being scared and not taking out. But with majority of people, the reason why you're not confident with the position is because you haven't practiced it enough to really trust it. So is there anything else that you need help with this, Maria? Because I just want to make sure if there's anything here that like strategy wise, because trade psychology, like the loss that you took here because you closed early, that was based purely off trade psychology. You just weren't confident enough in the position, and that's why you close it out early, which is okay. It happens. That's normal for everybody. Once this trade hits for you enough, you're going to trust it enough where you're going to take the trade, and then you're not going to like touch it. So for me, typically, whenever I take a trade, I just leave it alone. I don't even have to bother with closing it early. The only time I close it early is if the spread's really wide and I can't, and it doesn't close me out. Like say, for example, right here, price drops below and then it pulls back into the position, but then it doesn't close me out because of the spread. If that's the case, then I'll close it out manually. But typically I just let the trade run. So if there's anything that you need like specific help with, Maria, let me know and I can try to help you with it. But I think the main issue right now is just that you're not confident with the strategy yet. So I think the more and more that you practice this and the more and more that you execute it, the better you'll feel. And we'll just have to forward test this further because back testing it doesn't really help too much because obviously you're going to see all the good entries right here. Like for example, there was a bunch of sells right here and you could have taken like pretty much all the sells, right? And then you would have won. Yeah, Maria said no, just a pill of self-confidence. I prefer the high-low quick scalping. Yeah, no, I mean that's a good strategy too. Like, so what I would recommend is you just figure out what you like the most and then just focus on it. Like, for example, this strategy here, right? If you're applying the strategy here and you're doing the high-low quick scalp, I would recommend you kind of use the same process. So like, for example, here we can identify that there's a strong downtrend, right? So you have the prices below the pivots, prices below the pivots. I mean, you kind of do the same thing with the high-low quick scalp too. Let's see, high-low quick scalp. So, I mean, you're basically doing the same thing here. The only difference with this here is that you're not really looking for an overall trend. I think if you were to identify the overall trend, kind of similar to what we do here with 3 charts, you have a strong downtrend, strong downtrend, strong downtrend, and you have the momentum. I think this here would actually give you better opportunities for applying the high-low quick scalp. Maddie actually does the same thing. So you've seen Maddie today. He posted some profits. He actually let's see. So he posted his profits over here, and he took a couple of quick scalps over here a little earlier. So Maddie does the same thing. I mean, but you know, the more confidences you have, the better. I know that the requirements aren't necessarily there, but I also find it to be a bit risky. So if you like the high-low quick scalp, I would continue to apply that and focus on that, Maria. But I would use this. You don't even have to do it because I'm doing it on the live. So if you're on the live session with me in the morning, just make sure that I'm confirming that it's in a, it's in a downtrend or an uptrend. And then that's when you'll take the high-low quick scalps, because you want to make sure that you have momentum on your side. That's the main thing. Like, you'll see price kind of retrace up a little bit, but it's going to come right back down at TP. So. Gotcha. Okay. So Maddie said he doesn't think he sent the profits with the sell, but he waited for the 5 minutes to give the signal. So he was waiting for the confluence as well. So yeah, I think you're fine, Maria. Focus on the high-low quick scalp, but I would definitely try to confirm that it's in a heavy trending market with momentum in that direction. So let me see what else we got over here. See, David just joined the room. David asked me a question. Where is the training link for the, it's in the course, David. So let me pull it up for you if I could find it real quick. I know David's new, he just joined, so he doesn't know where everything is yet. So let me see if I could pull up the course real quick. I think you're here, right, David? Okay, you're fine, David. I know you're probably overwhelmed because there's so many strategies to follow. Let me just show you real quick. I'll go over it here again, David. So I think you should probably just wait for me to explain it here, because I'll give you a better example, because that strategy, I haven't applied it in a while because I stopped trading Forex for like almost a year. I just didn't want to be on the charts as much, but it's a very profitable strategy. So I personally still use it now, pretty much all of the, for all the signals. So let's see, this is what the course looks like right here, right? So if you scroll down, it's going to be, it's not in the scalping, right? So it's going to be a little lower. It's going to be right over here. So SR zone trading strategy. David, I'll go over this more in detail with you here, because this is going to be a better way for you to understand, because you can ask me questions directly. So if you don't understand something, I can help explain that to you. I'm going to remake this video too. So this is the older way of applying. Well, it's not really older. It's the same way of applying it, but I'm going to simplify it a bit more, because what I used to do before is I would draw all the zones. And man, that was so much work. Like, it was literally so much work. I've kind of optimized it a bit better, where you only draw 2 zones, because your other zones don't really matter that much, especially if they're so off the chart. So with that said, let me go over here and let's continue on with the with our strategies for the day. So, what I'll do is I'll skip over and I'll just do that. This is a list of strategies I was going to cover today in topics. I'll skip over the pivot scalp strategy, because this is very simple and most of you guys know it already. And I'll go over the SR zone just to help, so that you guys can understand, what I'm applying here with these Forex trades. So I'm also going to adjust the requirements a little bit, so that you guys have an easier way to identify these high probability entries. Let's see, David just said the question I had was my trend meter was looking different. So I was thinking I need to update the settings. Yes. So The way that you have your settings are fine, but because the thing with the trend meter here is that it's not really necessary. It's more used as a confluence. Let me put the requirements over here for the, I got to update all these names so it'll be easier. So this is the SR zone strategy. Make it a little bit smaller, it's kind of big. So the SR zone strategy right here, confirm breaking close past SR zone, confirm direction. Let's call it the SR zone strategy. I got to start using K2. If you guys are, well, you're new here, David. What happened is I had to rebrand the company K2 because I got sued by this huge hedge fund that has the same name. So I can't use the name K2 anymore. So I got to pretty much take everything off here. Luckily, you weren't around during that time. I was stuck in this annoying lawsuit for like over a year, and I finally rebranded. So I got to stop using that that term K2. Anyways, SR zone strategy, confirm break and close past SR zone, confirm direction of momentum using momentum indicator. Set TP near next zone. Stop loss equal distance away from, or 1-to-1 risk toward 5, or note, recommend moving stop loss and profit once candle closes and profit. All right, so we got this set over here. So the trend meter is not really necessary for this strategy. However, it is optional. I mean, if you want to, I would prefer using it because it helps you identify what the overall trend is. So looking at this right here, this is the entry that we currently have running, right? GBP AUD. So when you run this strategy here, I typically have, I like to use 3 time frames. 3 time frames kind of gives you the overall direction of price, so you can kind of see where price is going. So looking at this here, I know your question was about the trend meter. For the trend meter, typically, if you're using one chart and you're using the trend meter is mainly used for the intraday strategy, which if you're applying, great. If you're not applying, it's not really all that necessary. The default settings are going to be set to 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. This is going to help you identify the overall trend, right? You don't really care what the overall trend is because you're doing it manually already. I think the pivots are it's a more accurate way to identify the trend, and this is why I use it. So when you're using the trend meter here, you just have it set to chart. This is going to show you, and you can see right here how it's set. You can see how it changes, right, David? So like typically this is what yours looks like down here. It's mostly blue because the market rarely trends overall. Like you're not going to get an overall trend like this very often. When you do, yeah, it's on point, but most of the time you're not going to get an overall trend like that. So if you want to use this to identify the overall trend, you can. However, if you want to just identify what the trend is for this specific time frame, you just set it to chart, click OK, and then you can see what the trend is for the 4 hour time frame. So that's typically what you would use it for. You don't need this for the strategy, so it's not on the requirements, but typically whenever you're trading on multiple time frames, or if you're not applying the intraday strategy, you're always going to have it set to chart. That's going to be the default, not the default settings, but that's going to be the normal settings if you're not applying that one specific strategy that requires you to use this with the default settings. Does that make sense, David? Okay, perfect. So with this strategy right here for the SR, let me just make sure all the requirements here are proper. Okay, requirements here are proper. I'm going to show you an example on a different chart because I just don't want to mess up this chart since we're trading on it right now. So let me see if I could find another pair here. Oh, like we had this one right here, this one I just ran. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to replay it. And I'm just going to go from scratch here. So you don't need the pivots here either, but the pivots are going to be optional and they're going to be useful. Like, as I mentioned, a lot of the stuff here is not required. So I'm going to go over here and put the requirements for the strategy again. This is the SR zone strategy. And basically you want to use whatever helps you, right? Whatever makes things easier for you, that's what you want to use. So pretty much this is the only requirements that, or indicators that you necessarily need. So you need the, for one, you need the momentum indicator so you can identify which direction to be trading. And then secondly, you need the SR indicator, SRB2, to identify where these zones are. So the way that I would do it here is generally you would do this. So this is the original way of applying it. You would draw zones, like all the zones that are on the chart, and I'll show you right here why I don't do that anymore, because the market has kind of changed a little bit. When I first created this strategy, market was trending a lot. This was before COVID. This was before, Trump became president. This was before Biden became president. Like, this was like 5 years ago when I created this strategy. And the thing is, you wouldn't have zones like this where they overlap a lot, right? So you have a lot of these zones here that just overlap. It's like you have a big zone and you have zones within it. So what happens is you have to draw a really big zone, like something like this. And if you have something like this, it makes it literally impossible for you to take any trades, because what you're doing is you're looking for price to break and close past an SR zone, right? So like, for example, right here, price breaks out of the SR zone. And if you're taking this trade here, you're going for like a really, really small move, which is like not even worth the risk at this point, right? I mean, you could still take it and it's probably going to hit, which it did, but it just becomes almost impossible to take a trade. So what I do now is, when you're drawing the zones, and this is a more optimized way of doing it, there's no one way of doing this. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to like really show you guys because this comes with practice. So the way that I do it now is I look at the closest zone. So if you look over here, and if you're not familiar with the strategy, which with this indicator, which I'm sure you're not, David, I'm going to go and replay over here and I'm going to show you what this indicator does. So basically what this indicator does is that it automatically populates support and resistance zones throughout the chart. So like, for example, price broke below here. This was a support, broke below here. There's a new support right here. And as price continues to move along, you'll see new supports populate on the chart. So where this wasn't here before. So like going back a little bit over here, you'll see there was no support zone there, right? When price pushed up, what happened now, it created a zone there. So there's a new zone right there. And what happens is this indicator just automatically plots zones on the chart as price continues to move along. So there was no resistance here. Now there's a resistance. There was no support here. Now there's a support. And as price continues to move along, you can see more resistance populates. And when more resistance and support populates, the old ones over here disappear. So what's really important is going to be the closer zones, because the older ones are going to disappear at some point and they're going to be irrelevant. So you can see right here, new zones popping up all over the place. And they just keep popping up as price continues to move along. So I'm going to show you right here how I identify this entry here. This is the one that I called last night. I didn't call it as a signal, but I did send it in a group here like, hey, this is probably going to be a good entry. Actually, this is the wrong time frame, but or the wrong asset, but it's kind of similar because it's odd CHF. So you know what? Let me go to that pair real quick because I don't want to show you something that is a little messy, because that one was a messy one. Here's odd CHF. I'm going to go over here again and replay it. I'll put the requirements over here and I'll show you how I identify the zones, because there's so many zones here. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can do the original way, but if I'm pretty sure if you do it the original way, you're not going to find too many entries because a lot of these zones here overlap. So basically, first thing you want to do is identify the zones, because for the first requirement here, you want to confirm a break and close past an SR zone, right? So in order for you to get an entry here, you need to confirm where the zones are at. So what I do is I pretty much just draw the nearest zones. Price is currently right here, so I draw a zone right there, and there's another zone down here. The original way of applying it you just draw like a big zone here. So since this one over here overlaps with this one and this one, instead of just drawing this small zone right here, you would overlap it with this one and you'd overlap it with this one. So you have a huge zone, which you can still do, but it's kind of irrelevant because your trade's going to stop right here anyways, right? That's where your TP is going to be. So it doesn't really matter if you draw this big zone or you draw the small zone here, because either way, your trade's going to stop right here anyways. It's not going to go any further than this. So with that said, once you have the zones drawn like this is where you start looking for your requirements. So for requirement number one, you want to confirm breaking close past the SR zone. So this candle right here is breaking and closing past this SR zone, right? So with that said, you have requirement one met. For requirement number two, you want to confirm that you're trading in the direction of momentum. So right here, you look back to the most recent momentum signal. We have a sell signal here, so momentum is going down, right? So since you're looking for a sell here, this is fine because you're looking for a sell, momentum's coming down, you're pretty much going to ride this momentum wave to the next zone. So requirements 1 and 2 have been met. After you have that set up, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So when this candle right here closes, you enter a short position, and then you set your TP near the next zone. So the next zone is right here. This right here is obviously not going to be a great entry because it's just too close. You probably won't even be able to cover the spread. So you probably go for like 10 pips, which is not ideal for a Forex trade, especially if the spread's kind of wide. But I'm just showing you this as an example. So if you have that set up right there, you let the trade run. Yeah, see, this is why it's not good, because it's too tight. So let me show you another example. I thought this was actually a bigger trade. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so the difference with this here was that it was actually, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I drew this wrong. Sorry. Let me, okay, so I actually drew this zone over here wrong. The zone was actually a little lower. So the TP is actually a lot lower. So right here for my markup last night that I posted up, you can see that this actually does play out, but again, it's not a good trade because it's just too tight. So about 200 pips right there, or that's 20 pips. You let the trade run from that point. I mean, I wouldn't even go for that much. I'd probably go for smaller because it's just too tight. So like what I would do is I'd probably round this down to 15. I like using whole numbers. You have it set up like that right there, and the trade comes down and hits. But typically you don't want to take a trade that's this close, because for odd CHF, I know that this asset typically has a very wide spread. It's about like 7 pips. So you wouldn't be able to take this trade because your spread's going to be 7 pips right here. And when you enter the trade, you're going to be in drawdown 7 pips already. So you're really close to your stop loss already at that point. For the trade that we're actually in right now, GBP AUD, for this one right here, this is a 150 pip move. So you have a lot of space right there to take the trade. So for this one right here, this is actually a pretty good one because it's so far out. You can see my live profits right here. This is on my personal account, currently up 325. My profit target's gonna be about 600. So almost there. I move my stop loss and profit. So right here, I pretty much guarantee about $100. So if it comes down, I've made profit. If it goes up, I make even more profit. But let me see if I can find another example here. I think this might be one of the hardest strategies for people to really get because it does require a bit more knowledge as to how to apply it. But I think it's easier because it's on the 4 hours, so you don't have to be thinking on your feet all the time. And this is a good intraday and swing type strategy. So let me see if I can find one more example here. Here's GJ. It's actually still running right now. Here, this is what I'll do here. I'll show you another example where it played out earlier, and I'll show you how it plays out both ways. Okay, so let me go over here and replay. And I'm just showing you the bare basics of this strategy. There's another way, or not another way, but another confluence that you can do. That was basically what I was showing you guys earlier. I used 3 charts here to identify the direction of price. So price is going up on the daily and the 8 hour, then I'm like, okay, price is probably gonna go up on the 4 hour. But if it's not, then I typically skip it. But here's another example of the strategy here for GJ. So let me put the requirements over here again. That's our zone strategy. And this is on the 4 hour time frame. So the thing that's cool about this is that the 4 hour candles close at the same time every day. So They close at, I believe, 2, 6, and 10. So 6 times a day, 2 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and then again, 2 p.m., 6 p.m., 10 p.m. So like whenever I call signals, that's the only time you have to look at the chart because that's when the entries come up. And I think the 4 hour is probably the best time frame to apply intraday and swing trading. So for this strategy, again, right here, confirm breaking close past SR zone. So again, right here, we have price breaking close past the SR zone. You can see right here, we have an SR zone, and then the next level's down here. So what you would do here is once you confirm the first requirement, you confirm the direction of trend using the momentum indicator. Right here, we have a sell momentum. You enter the short position right here. Third requirement, enter on the open of the falling candle right there. Your TP is going to be below here. My rule of thumb is that my max TP or like my max range is going to be 150 pips. So typically what I would do here is I would set my TP stop loss to the max 150. But what I would do at this point is if I want to keep going with the trade, then I wouldn't necessarily set a TP here. When price reaches this point, what I do is I move my stop loss to there. So I've already guaranteed full profit, but if price continues to drop lower, I can go for a 2-to-1, right? So this is a 1-to-1 here normally, but if it reaches my TP, I'm not going to set my TP there. I'm just going to move my stop loss to my TP. So I've guaranteed 1-to-1 and I can go for maybe a 2-to-1. So instead of going for 150, I can go for 250, right? Or 300. It's just up to preference. The reason why I do this is because you guys have seen sometimes on the higher time frames, you'll be like so deep in profit. And what happens is you never take money off the table and then it reverses on you and you're screwed, right? So you never want to end up in that situation. So with that said, let me just set this up again right here. So if you want to go for the full move will typically be down here. You can see the next zone is about 277 pips. So I'm going to round that down a little bit, 270 pips. So that you can have some leeway here because you want to be able to pull out of the position. Typically what will happen is price will reach really close to the zone, might touch it real quick, and then it'll bounce back up. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you have enough space there so you get out to cover the spread. Once you have this set up right here, you let the trade run. And you can see right there how it drops below. As I mentioned before, my TP is typically going to be 150 pips. So at this point, once price closes below here, I would just move my stop loss and profit. So I guaranteed 150 pips already. But if I want to keep going down lower, then I have that opportunity. It's up to the person, right? If you're an experienced trader, you can do this. If you're not, then just let your trade hit your TP. I'm running for these trades for about 3% risk. So and for a 1-to-1. So if I'm winning these trades, I'm pretty much good. 3% risk is not a bad risk, but when you make profit consistently, it adds up over time. You go from 3% to 6% to 9% to 12%, et cetera. And it's a 1-to-1. So if you lose, you just go back to break even, which is not going to happen very often. Let the trade run. And if you move your stop loss and profit, you probably would have gone stopped out in profit right there. However, if you let the trade run further, you can see that it hits even bigger of a TP. And this is the basic logic of the strategy. The way that this strategy works is you're trading from zone to zone. So you have price here breaking close past the zone. You confirm momentum because you have a sell momentum right there. And you're basically just riding it to the next zone. That's literally what you're doing. So you have this right here, full TP. And then here's another cool trick, right? Look how price comes back to the next zone. If price pushes back up and you get a buy signal, let me see if I can find one here. So there's no entries here because price isn't breaking and closing past the zone, right? Price does break and close past it right here, but you need to confirm that you're trading in the direction of momentum, right? So right here, price is breaking and closing, but you don't have a buy signal. So you can't take this trade right here. Price again has broken and closed past it. You have a buy signal here. What do you do here? You do the same thing the opposite direction. So again, right here, as I mentioned before, I set my max TP stop loss to 150 pips because that's like my sweet spot there. I don't like holding trades for too long. 150 pips are well more than enough for me. So you let the trade run there, opposite direction. Price pushes up. Hit your TP. You can do the same thing I just mentioned earlier. Move your stop loss and profit and ride it further if you really wanted to. Now at this point, TP is going to be right there, right? So if you do that there, if price pulls back, you've already guaranteed 1-to-1 full TP. If you don't move your stop loss and profit and just let the trade run, which you can do as well, price eventually does hit your TP. So it's a super simple strategy. You're trading zone to zone. The thing here, like the real key thing here is that you know which direction to trade, because if you don't have the momentum signal, you can't really confirm, where price is going. You can see here you have a bullish momentum, price pushes up. Sell momentum, price pushes down. Bullish momentum, price pushes up. And then you can just keep doing this both ways. Like, for example, again here, price comes back down. Let's see if we get a sell signal. Price broke and closed below, but no sell signal, right? So you can't take the sell yet. Pending sell signal right there. There you go. Sell signal right there. Or no, again, price pushes up. No sell signal. No sell signal. Now you've got the sell signal, right? You let the trade run again here. Same thing. 110 pips this time. Trade runs. Another full TP there. So you guys see how easy this strategy is. The thing is, you're trading on the 4-hour time frame, so it's easy for you to catch these. You don't have to be on the chart all day. You just got to check every 4 hours. You check at 2 a.m., 2 p.m., and you don't even have to check every time. You just check whenever you want. If you want to check every day at 6 a.m., 6 p.m., you can do that. If you want to check every day 6 a.m., 10 a.m., you can do that. And then you just take whatever entries you see come up. So does that make sense, David? Is there anything else that you want me to cover regarding this? Because I know this is one of the things you asked about. If there's any confusion, if you want more examples, let me know and I'll cover more examples. Otherwise, if not, we'll move on to the next strategy, which will be the high-low momentum pivot scalp. So yeah, if you have any questions, David, let me know. I'm here to help you out. So I know you're new here and everything's brand new. Might be a little overwhelming with, all the new strategies and stuff like that. But I think moving forward, these are probably going to be the main strategies I'm going to focus on. We have a lot of strategies that you can apply. They're all great strategies, but I think these are so simple that anyone can pick it up. And as long as you master these here, I think you should be fine. Like these two right here are going to be for scalping on live sessions. And then this one you pretty much use all day. So it kind of gives you that option, right? If you want to scalp in the morning, make some quick profit, you can do that. And then if you want to trade some Forex throughout the day, you can do that as well. And this strategy works for like different assets too. It's not just Forex. It just depends on which one to apply it for. So if there's any other questions regarding this, David, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll be moving on to this next strategy right here, which is the high-low momentum pivot scalp, which is basically what we apply during the live sessions. All right. So I think that might be it with that. So let's move on to the next one here. Check my GA trade again. My GA trade is just sitting there. It's the market's going to reopen soon, so we'll see how this moves. But otherwise, let's move on to the next strategy here. So we already covered the momentum pivots, momentum scalp strategy. We covered the SR zone strategy. The next strategy here is going to be the high-low momentum pivot scalp. So these two go in conjunction with each other. So if you see anything for either one, they're basically going to line up. If you see one entry, it's probably going to line up with another one, and it's going to be a simple application of the it's just a simple reiteration of the strategy. So basically this strategy is applied during the live session, and we apply this during the morning session, like 6:30 to 8. I don't think there was really many entries here, so I don't know if we're even going to find anything, but I'll see if I see anything here. I think the main issue here was that from this morning, price was around opening price a lot. So like basically this whole area right here, this is a live session time, 6:30 to 8. And the main issue with this here is that the main issue with this is that price was pretty much ranging the whole time. And there was like a lot of red flags here because price was at opening price most of the day, right here down the middle. There was just too many things here that were a problem. It was right next to opening price. And then also there was sessions that were in the way as well. So like there was a good entry that was right here. Actually, it wasn't even there. Honestly, there was no entries today during the live session. So looking at this here, there's no high-low momentum scalp. high-low momentum pivot scalp. There's nothing right here because there's no rejection off the structure. Nothing right there, so it wasn't bullish. You know what, let's go back a little further and I'll see if I could find something. I might not be able to find something during the live session, but I'll see if I could find something that would fit the example here. I'm going to go over here to this chart, and I'm going to use this as a confirmation and confluence for you guys. Let me just reset this here. All right, so we have a sell signal right here. Doesn't meet criteria. This doesn't meet criteria. This doesn't meet criteria. No, I don't think there was any entries today. This was like at 11. So I don't think this is a good entry, but I'll use, or actually, no, this isn't, because the bias isn't lined up here. Yeah, I think today in general, it just wasn't a good market, because looking at these right here, like I'm trying to find an entry here. You can see that the zone down here that was below it. Here's the momentum signal. Price isn't really rejecting off it, so it doesn't really meet criteria very much. This right here wasn't in an uptrend, actually. No, it wasn't. This doesn't meet criteria. Yeah, so there's no entries that came up during the live session. Let me see if there's anything here that came up before the live session. Okay, so let me go over here real quick. This is an entry here. This doesn't meet the criteria. Oh, I mean, it kind of does, but this is pre-market. So I don't know if this is one that we would necessarily want to take. But I'll just use this as an example to show you guys. Okay. So let me just show you this one right here. Oops. All right, let me put the requirements over here for this. So this is going to be the high-low momentum pivot scalp. So this is basically a high-low momentum, but it's applied with the pivot scalp strategy. So when I identify this, first requirement, you want to identify a momentum signal. So right here, we have a bullish momentum signal, right? That's going to be requirement number one. For requirement number two, you want to draw a zone at the high low before momentum. So we have a buy signal right here. You want to look back to the previous low since you're looking for a buy. You have it right over here. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a zone at this point down here. Once you have that set up, you're going to confirm momentum rejecting off the high low zone. So looking at this momentum signal right here, you can see that price is pushing away from the zone, right? With that said, we have requirements 1 through 3 met. For the fourth requirement, you want to confirm that you're trading in the direction of the trend using the pivots and the trend meter. So looking down here, the trend meter is green. Again, earlier, like I mentioned, David, your trend meter settings here are going to be set to chart. So you can see what the trend is on the specific time frame. With that said, you have confirmed that it's in a bullish trend. Looking over here at the pivots, basically to confirm that price is bullish here with regard to the pivots, you want to make sure that pivot level 4, which is this red pivot right here, is below all of the other pivots. When the pivot's above it, that means it's in a downtrend. When the pivots are below it, or no, when the pivots are above it, it's in an uptrend. When pivots are below it, that's in a downtrend. So right here, price is in an uptrend. Over here, you can see prices at price and the other pivots are below the red, and this is in a downtrend. So with that said over here, we have this in an uptrend, and the trend meter over here also confirms it. So requirements 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been met. Once you have all these met, you can enter on the close of the following candle. So right here, when the candle closes, you enter a buy position, same TP stop loss, 100, 300. Once you have that set up right there, you can let the trade run. One other thing that you can use here, which it is not a requirement, but it's something that I look over like pretty much for all my trades. I want to make sure that I'm trading where my probability is the highest, right? So what I do here is I look on the 5-minute and I look on the 10-minute and make sure that this is bullish as well. Because if these are both bullish, odds of it pushing up higher to hit TP is very likely, right? So the 5-minute over here is very bullish. Price is above the pivots. It's angling to the upside. Same with this 10-minute right here. Price is angling to the upside, and it's bullish, right? So we have a bullish trend on the 5-minute and 10-minute. This is going to confirm that this trade right here is probably going to hit. Once you have that set up right there, you let the trade run, and you can see price pushes in profit and blasts right through your TP right there. And that's an example of a high-low momentum pivot scalp strategy. Super simple strategy to apply, not too difficult. It just requires a couple of things here. So that's an example right there. There's actually another one that was right before it. So let me go back to the previous candle over here. And this is the same thing. So same thing again right here, identify momentum signal, buy signal right there, draw a zone at the high low prior to the momentum candle. So again, right here, momentum candle at this candle right here. You have that set up, confirm momentum is rejecting off the high low zone. This candle right here is rejecting off the zone, confirm trading the direction of trend. Price is above the pivots are angling up. It's in an uptrend. Trend meter down here is green. This is also confirming the uptrend. With that said, you can enter on the close of the momentum candle. So with that said, you can enter the long position right here. TP stop loss set at 100, 300. Once you have that set up right there, you let the trade run again. Price kind of pushes up a little bit, retraces slightly, but then eventually price does come back up and blast right through the TP. So same thing again right here. If you wanted to confirm that on the other time frames, make sure it's bullish. Odds of this hitting are very likely. So I think that's about it. If you guys have any other questions regarding these strategies, feel free to put them in the chat. My job here is to help you guys out. I already know these strategies like the back of my hand. Like I don't have to think about them. That's why in the live session, I'm typically just taking entries and then giving my analysis because I don't really have to think about it too much. If I see something good, I'll take it. If not, I'll wait for the next one. There's going to be a ton of opportunities out there. So the main thing is to just not force any trades. If you miss the trade, move on to the next one and you should be fine. Also, if you're losing trades or if you're scared of losing trades, you just have to eat that loss sometimes. It's all about repetition. It's consistency and discipline. If you can be consistent with taking valid entries that are high probability, you should be fine. You could lose a trade here and there, but overall you're going to bounce back if you take, multiple trades or you just keep taking trades as they appear, as long as the requirements are met. Also discipline. You got to make sure that you don't take any shortcuts. You don't FOMO into any trades. You don't overtrade. You don't revenge trade. You just stick to the game plan every day. So other than that, I don't see any other questions here, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, if you want to see another example of this high-low momentum, let me see if I can find one more here. What I'll look for here is a sell now. So I showed you a bunch of buys. Let me see if I can see any sells here. This is see, the market was kind of slow over here. There really isn't much here. Okay, so there's one right over here. I actually have it marked up, but I think I took this one on Sunday. Yeah, I took this trade myself. That's the one that I have right here in profit. So if you look at my profits here, I took one trade here on Sunday for a sell, full TP for 1,000. So with that said again right here, identify momentum signal. We have a sell signal right there. Draw a zone at the high low prior to momentum. So we have a high right here. Third requirement you want to confirm. So this is not actually a good entry because it's not necessarily rejecting directly off it. Maybe if it was down a little lower. Yeah, I think this one was just a close one. I think I just saw it close and I just entered it without really fully analyzing it because it was like late night yesterday and I just entered it and hit my TP. But basically, all the requirements here again, identify momentum, sell signal, identify the zone right here, identify the momentum candle pushing away from it. It's rejecting off the zone right here. With that said, confirm the trend. Price is below the pivots. Pivots are angling down. Trend meter is red. Everything lines up. You enter the trade here on the close of the candle. Let the trade run. Pushes down into profit. Full TP right there. Blasted right through it. So there goes another example right there. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. We've been on this live session for about an hour now. I'm free to stay on here as long as you guys want, but, I'm going to need questions because I already covered the strategy. So I need to figure out what you guys need help with so we can drill down on that. Otherwise, if you guys are good, what I'd recommend is just go back and test this, right? Back test as much as you can, forward test as much as you can. The only way you're going to get better at this is if you practice, right? So the more you practice, the more second nature it becomes. And when you see these trades live, you're not even going to think about it. You're just going to hop in as soon as you see the trade. It's kind of what happened with all my trades this morning. I had a bunch of wins over here. This is all because I didn't even think about it. I just entered the trade, hit my TP, and then call it a day. So, all right, guys, I think that might be it. I don't see any other questions here. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me on Telegram or email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com. If you guys are new here and you guys want access to these indicators and these strategies, just go to the website, KodiKaiTrades.com, and then you can have access to it here. It says unlock your free access to Kodi Kai Trades now. This will give you access to the beginner course where you can learn everything. If you want access to the live sessions through YouTube, just click on that button right there. It'll take you to the YouTube channel. You can go over here to the videos. If you want to see all the lives that I have, I've been trading live for about over 3 years now. So if you want to see any of the trades here that I've taken, all the sessions are pretty much the same. I'm applying basically the same strategies every single day. And you guys can see what the consistency does. I win about maybe 1 or 2 trades a day. I lose maybe like 1 trade a month, 1 or a couple of trades a month, but it's very rare. So if you guys go back and watch, I have all the live sessions. You can literally watch so many live trading sessions. And if you look at our results from this year so far, everything here is documented. So you guys can see all of my live trading from this year. I have about 150 wins, 17 losses. So that's only 17 losses for the entire year. 150 wins, a ton of pips right there, a ton of profits, and all this stuff is recorded. So if you want to go back and rewatch this mentoring session, just go on the YouTube channel. Mentoring sessions are all recorded here. Everything is documented. I try to stay as transparent as possible with my trades, with my mentoring, with everything. So if there's any questions you guys have, if you guys need any help, just reach out. I'm here to help you guys out. Maria's asking, will there be a Zoom Thursday and Friday? So there will not be a Zoom live session on Thursday. Market is going to be closed for Thanksgiving. But I will be back on Friday. So we'll have it on Friday. Volatility is probably still going to be very low. Or, I'll have to get back to you on that, Maria, because the market's going to be slow on Thursday, and I think people are just going to take a long weekend. So I don't know if the market's even going to be moving that much on Friday. If it's moving, then I'll go online. I'll probably check how the market's moving at night. And if the market is moving, then, we'll have the session. If not, we'll just skip it because there's no point. We don't want to force trades on a risky trading day. But we do have your mentoring session. So we have our one-on-one on Friday. So either way, I'll see you on Friday. But other than that, I think that should be about it. So, all right, guys, hopefully you guys, got some value out of this session. If there's anything you want me to cover, feel free to message me on Telegram and I'll cover it in detail, on the next session. Just a reminder, every Monday we have these group mentoring sessions. I'm also making available myself to one-on-one sessions, whether you guys remember or not. I typically don't do mentoring sessions one-on-one anymore because it's just, it takes up a lot of time. But I'm in the giving mood right now, so I'm here to help you guys out. I want to get you guys ready for the trading year next year if you guys are having the greatest year this year. And I just want to get you guys on point because you guys will see how consistent I am with trading. Me mentoring is actually beneficial to me as much as you guys think I'm helping you guys are helping me just as much because showing you guys my strategies and showing you guys the intricacies of like how things are applied. This actually helps me really get stuff down. So other than that, I think that's about it, guys. So if you guys have any questions, message me on Telegram. Otherwise, I will see you guys here tomorrow for the next live session, same place, same time as we take on the next trading day. So, all right, guys, other than that, I will see you guys then.